works. Is this stream working? This one isn't working either. Let's see. Anybody catch any of this? Is this one working? I'm going to go ahead and reset it, and let's see. Is this one working? Anything? Can you hear it? Anything? No, this one's working. Alright, well, we're just going to go with this one because it's running. It's going to have you're going to have an awkward intro and all that fun stuff, but whatever. This one's working. So, yeah, I got to do a couple little things on Twitter that you guys will see me do. Oh, well, just bear with me. Sadly, because of screen share. I could look that up, Tyrant. I doubt you're watching, but I could look that up. I have no clue what the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow is. I believe that it depends whether or not it's carrying a coconut. But anywho, let me link folks so that I'm not all alone talking to myself here. Come on and join us. And join me and ask some questions. Ask some Ironverse questions, because that's why you folks are here, if anybody's here. Make sure... yep, it's a new link. The last one did not work out. There we go. So I am live. There we are. Sorry to anybody who's in any of the other rooms there. Not my intention. Let me see if I can go to that other live stream that's scheduled, which sucks. I have to delete and shit, but I want to drop the link to the right one in this chat. Here we go. Working live stream link. Sorry, folks, because I am indeed, and I'm gonna go ahead and send that. And so, yeah, if you see it on there, come and join us in the right one. And I think finally, maybe, just maybe, let me make sure OBS is up. I know I'm being a little neurotic, but shit, it's been a pain in the ass getting this going. Let's see, mic's working, and I guess you guys can hear me. All right, so we're finally into this after me trying to fix this, and only 20 minutes late. Not so bad. It's a first. So, anywho, thank you folks for coming by. Anybody who does, and anybody who comes by later, even more so. Taking any interest in what we're doing means the world to me and to Ironverse Comics. We're out there trying to make unique visuals and stories for people who want that, and I couldn't be happier to try and accommodate that. So I'm gonna go ahead and wait a little bit. I think I'm gonna go straight into that article I was looking at that was addressing something that Jim Shooter said about the current state of the industry. I'm kind of excited to dive into it. I've seen excerpts here and there, and it should be fun to take a look. He's not 100% pleased, but I don't think that guy was ever too pleased, and I think that's what made Marvel work when he was there. So yeah, let me go to that first. Even before any drinking, I'm hoping somebody shows up in chat. Come. If anybody can hear this or anybody cares, please spread the word. It's been a little bit to get here, and well, if we can get the support, I can certainly improve everything as we go, like I've tried to do with the comics. And well, I'm gonna go ahead and dive right into this article right here. Let's go ahead and make that nice and big and pretty. All right. So this is a Adventures in Poor Taste article. So I'm assuming they tracked him down at a con and got him for a few minutes. Yeah, here's an interview. If you guys aren't familiar with Jim Shooter, that's a great place to start. He was editing. He was the editor in chief for there you go, from 1978 to 1987, which was a hell of a big time for Marvel. Just a little bit maybe. Um, and so maybe he knows what he's talking about. It looks like this is actually a relatively old interview, but you know what? The relevance hasn't changed. The environment, if anything, has actually continued to go in the opposite direction. So let's see here. Aped, they went ahead and you know thought to ask him a very simple question. What's his thoughts on how things are going since you haven't been there for a while? And well, he does not cut corners. He thinks they forgot what business they're in, and personally, I would agree with that. He again he respects the medium. He respects the work they do in terms of the art. But right here, the writing, he can't account for much of it. You have some guys, and yeah, he drops Mark Waid, who yeah is an extremely talented author and has definitely earned his place. Um, but yeah, a lot of it, which is I'm guilty of. I haven't been doing it very long, so I still got a lot of learning. So that's one of the bits, and I bet that's also why Marvel has a lot of the issues. Is that we're all learning, and they're supposed to be the people who have already learned and are showing the example of what to be. But instead, they're putting out very novice writing and even I don't blame myself for doing that. Those first two comics here, we're trying and people enjoy it. But when you're Marvel, it's harder to get away with that, or easier depending on what you're really looking at. But yeah, they think he's talking about writing for trade paperbacks, and that's true. In Shooter's days, it was they wanted to give you a single issue and really you got your fill when you dropped your 50, 75 cents, your $1.50. They wanted to give you a piece of entertainment that was, you read it and you were done, and you wanted to get the next, but you were satisfied with what came before. And now a lot of how it's done is large overarching story arcs, which can be great if it's done right, but if it's not, it really is what he calls it, a pure decompressed storytelling. It's basically taking a mile to tell something that could take a couple feet. It's and that's something I have to learn with Jack. My goal, though, is to tell a compressed story in each issue, so you get some kind of satisfaction. Um, but I want that overarching narrative, and I think that's a constant balance war, and we'll see how successful Iron vs. Comics is at it. But yeah, it was kind of interesting to hear Jim talk about it. They then he gets into the business end, which I'm just learning about, and which seems to be a root of a lot of the issues in art these days. Is the business end really asserting its foot, which is great because everybody needs to get paid and eat. But it's also art, and art tends to glorify things other than money. So they don't always have the same objective, and that sucks. But yeah, here we go. He goes right into it right after Ape says, writing for trade paperbacks. This is true, which is what they do. But you can do both, and that's what Iron vs. Comics is trying to do. Give you your single issue so you enjoy it, but keep you along for the ride because we have a hell of a story to tell, and that's how it should be done. Jim here, yeah. Stan would put in 6 pages. Would take it takes 6 months for somebody to do instead of a week or so sit back in the day. Again, it's a different age, it's a different time, so you gotta kind of adjust and adapt. But it's true. There's a lot of ways to get the same point across without spending an eternity to do it. And I agree. Comics are supposed to be quick. I mean, manga was used as manga was read and tossed and recycled. Even back in the day, before Jim Shooter's time, comic books were just you'd read and toss. You weren't collecting them. That's why they're so valuable these days, the old ones. So you got to look at it as that too. You're not making a museum piece with every panel. I mean, you could be doing outrageous art that deserves to be a museum with every panel. I don't want to take away from the artist, but you also you gotta you gotta realize you're working in a medium where things move very fast and you shouldn't be too attached to anything. But yeah, here we go. So you look at sales. Marvel Comics are now $4 a piece, and they're thrilled if the sales are over 30,000. Because what that's $120,000 just net without all the attachments, and that's great for a damn book. My God, but yeah, Jim Shooter's Day, they had a bunch of titles. They weren't just looking at a single one selling that much, and they wanted, they didn't have one that sold under 100,000. Again, times have changed. People care less to read. YouTube's right there for free all the time. Hell, Shonen Jumps moved forward and said, "Here, subscribe to us, and here's everything we've been working for years." That's hard to keep up with, and it's an ever-evolving thing, the comic book industry. So I'm gonna take a break from the article. We'll come right back. I'm gonna check chat. And yeah, as I kind of thought, nobody's in chat. That's okay. I don't mind talking to myself. Let me go and retweet here on Twitter, see if there's anything. Yeah, there's that, but of course it's the wrong link now. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, the right link's in chat. So if anybody comes by, let me know. Maybe even tweet me. I'm likely to see that show up off screen. So I'm gonna go ahead, go back to the article. So they had 75 titles, none of them selling below 100,000. Imagine that. My God, that's millions of dollars right there. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, they got to a point where X-Men was reaching 750,000 issues sold. My God, the glory days. I mean, but again, different times. Then they get into variant covers. I'm not a big fan. I find them more a sales gimmick, but it's great if you have communities you want to bridge between artists or between titles. There's a lot to do there. Just don't give me 15 new covers a month for a title. Nobody wants that. Collectors aren't going to want it. It doesn't help the trade paperbacks that you're writing these issues for down the line much. It gives them a couple pages in the back. I don't know. Geo starts talking about how they did a variant cover before they even knew what a variant cover was with Spider-Man Wedding, because they couldn't decide between having the villains in the background or having the familiar characters in the background of it. And I think there was an image. Yep, right here. It's wonderful. Both are great. Both are amazing. And I agree. I would have had a hard time too. And they put it out. And they didn't realize it was a marketing gift. Yep, we didn't even know the name variant then. It just never occurred that it was a marketing ploy. Now there's so many, and he feels right there, they're really taking their eye off the ball. That's a very it's a dated phrase that's been kept for a long time, because it's you got to be in the game to win the game. And they're in this game to win a different game they're not quite playing yet. Mostly the Hollywood game. And right here, that's what he says. Tell a good story, tell it well. That's it. That's what comics are for. And that's what makes them sell. It's a real simple thing. Real simple thing. So let's see. I think that's when I stopped reading. So these parts are going to be a little bit new to me. Let's see what their question. Let's see if it's relevant. All right. So Ape asks about creator rights and if Marvel could do better, because he was around when the whole image thing kind of kicked off, and everybody kind of left because they were getting shit on by the industry and they wanted to make their art. Oh, let's see. When he came to Marvel, he'd been trained by this guy at DC, so pedigree. And what I realized is everything gets a lot better if you sell a lot of comics. One of the first. I like that. That's a very simple sentence. Everything gets better if you sell a lot of comics. So that should be your goal. Your business gets easier if it's successful. Who'd have thought it? So let's see. What was his good job here? How'd he go about that? Here. He's upset about a 6 months deadline. He can't stand that. And imagine these homebrewed creator-owned projects. Some are going a little bit more than that 6 months. Jim would not be too stoked, would he? I'm one of them. I'm very guilty about that. I mean, I got issue 1 in about 2 months later than I expected, so that sucked. But man, issue 2, I continuously underestimated the time this thing would take to get out there, and a lot of it was out of my control. So I'm just glad we had the right team and we're making an amazing project and product. And when it releases, I am truly hopeful we'll have earned that faith and patience from you guys. It's a tough one. I said earlier in one of the earlier videos that it would be one of the most exciting and terrifying times of my life when issue 2 comes out, and it's so true. But all you can do is keep going. So even if it's a flop, Ironverse Comics isn't going anywhere, folks. I really doubt it's a flop. It's some of the most gorgeous work I've seen out of the comics industry in a while. And though I'm blowing smoke up my own ass by saying that, it's not that true because I'm not talking about my writing. My writing's going to be up to the readers to decide. I think I have some nice turns of phrase and such, but the art. Unless you're aesthetically blind or you can't stand the vividness of the colors we're using, or maybe Maxie's new style on how he renders anatomy. I don't know. That's always a possibility, but I adore it. And if anybody else does, then I think we're kind of doing our job, and hopefully we'll get to number 3. Alright, so let's see. He'll give you an example. In January 1978, when he started, they were supposed to ship 45 colored comics. They had to miss 19 of them. And so it took him till April. So he got there in January. So he had to be on their ass for 4 months before they got on time and on track. And then they did it for 10 years. And he made it happen. And so once the books are on time, which is definitely, if we're lucky enough with Ironverse Comics, that's my next step, is to get issue 3 out in a very quick amount of time. Maxie had offered to start issue 3 before the campaign starts even, which is great. And I might take him up on that, but my main concern again is getting money for those talents, and I am almost to the point where I don't feel right taking his time without being able to, with the chance of not being able to compensate him for it. It's just, that's bullshit. But he believes in the project, so again, that's something you got to wrestle with. There's so many factors when you're organizing these things that it's very hard to deal with. I'm going to go ahead and go back here to publishing and see anybody in chat. No. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and post again in Twitter with a fixed link. Let's see here. Fixed AMA drunk live stream link. And yeah, it will get there if people show. Hell, it'll get there if people don't show. I got questions from Twitter I can ask and keep talking to myself about anyway. That's what this thing's called, right? I'm trying to publicize talking to myself and drinking. Yeah, oh boy, I should close that. That was dangerous. Oh, I should not have done that. Oh well. Oh well, oh well. Let's see. It'll happen. It'll happen. So there's all that fun stuff. Let's see what popped up when I did that. There's little things you gotta learn, little subtleties. I'm watching the live stream at the moment on this. You guys are too. I'm just checking this out. Who boy, who boy, who boy. So yeah, then I opened it and it went up, and you can see all the chat, and then I closed it. Look at that, look at that, look at that. Good thing I only talk business in there, so you guys aren't gonna see anything important. That's for damn sure. But yeah, we'll see how that goes over if anybody pays attention closely. But everybody starts live stream somewhere. This is where I'm starting it. I'm going to go ahead and put this up here. It's supposed to be up here before. This is part of the opening scene of Jack Orange #1. My goal with these videos, maybe down the line, is I'll try and find a way to run a slideshow of fan art and panels and stuff, just so things stay visually interesting. I know looking at a screen and looking at the stuff is really boring. I have that problem with live streams too. If the dialogue is interesting enough, there's no issue. But you know, I'm gonna hedge my bets. I don't. I want folks here if I'm gonna put the time into working on it. So let's see. Doesn't look like anybody but me is really watching the stream itself, and that's okay. Again, I didn't really expect much. Well, there's some audio. Yeah, just reflexes. I'll do that. All right, let's go back to this then, because you know, give me plenty of time to get this done. So he said it took him to April to get Marvel back on schedule once he got there, and they had 19 books. So I would assume that's almost 40 people who were involved in these books that just couldn't keep their schedules together. And how Jim Shooter was able to wrangle those 40 people to be able to do that, I can't imagine. That's something I hope I can learn someday. You know, being able to do that's one of the main things I need to improve Ironverse Comics is on the delivery time. We're only 2 issues in, but we do have five titles in the works. But money will talk, so we'll see how much quicker we can get information out once info and product out once some kind of funding train's going. Indiegogo isn't the ideal way to do that. There's a lot of risks. I do have a Patreon and a Subscribestar set up for us that would be more consistent, but of course Patreon keeps shooting themselves in the foot in the name of ideology, and Subscribestar is it's very limited, and it's still hard for me to trust. I tried maker support back in the day and got fucked and lost. You know, some people lost their money that they wanted to give to me, and that, oh boy, that pisses me off. So you don't want to do that. But yeah, organization. Jim's job as editor-in-chief was making sure everything's coming along and looking good, and that's something each indie creator has to do for themselves. It's I would say it's both easier and harder when you're a one-man art team. So let's see. Let's go back. So he thinks once the books are in time and you have that, then you can worry about improving them or getting better people. That's crazy. I like that. I liked it better. You can pay them better. He quadrupled the rates and offered all kinds of setups. Yeah, look at that. Oh man, I recommend you guys check out this article. I'd look up Adventures in Poor Taste, Jim Shooter. You'll probably find it right away, and actually read the article. I'm sure he's done a lot. Just like, yeah, the Epic imprint. I remember that. He mentions one of this guy right here. He's been awesome to me on social media, and I really respect his work on Hellblazer and a lot of other things. And yeah, I'm just. It looks like he's just going to start talking up all the people he helped get there, which is great. You should be proud of that, goddammit. Let's see. Oh, there we go. See, I remember reading earlier in this article. Oh, that's an amazing cover. That is an amazing cover. That is the coolest stylized bear I've seen in a very long time. Anywho, okay. So then this guy's like, well, you know, keeping the cliffhangers and keeping a long story is like Claremont's X-Men. I'm guilty. I'm not a very big X-Men reader. I have actually a decent-sized collection of early 90s X-Men. I just haven't dove into. I love the X-Men. I grew up on the cartoon show, but out of the X-Men, I've read the most of Wolverine stuff, which should make sense, anybody who's followed Ironverse Comics work. But it's just, it's not bad. It's just not something I've gotten to yet, and hopefully one day I will, because I've heard nothing but amazing things about Chris Claremont's X-Men work. So let's see Shooter defend Chris and how he did his continuities. But there are episodes things do finish sometimes. So basically, I think Jim's main problem is that there's just one ongoing narrative that's not really going anywhere because it doesn't conclude and then add to a basis of new narratives. And I'm with him on that. That's a bad idea. Yep. Let's see. Oh, there you go. There's that amazing piece, and that must be by Bill right there. And yeah, it is. There's a signature. I love his work. I've seen some things on Twitter about his attitude towards people, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. But that piece of art is amazing, and I respect the artist who did it. You know what? I think I'm going to let you folks go ahead and finish this Jim Shooter article. And maybe if you have questions to ask me or, thoughts, you can go ahead and leave them in the comments on this video or maybe in chat. I'm going to go back and check chat. Though I don't think anybody's here. Oh, there we go. Merc's here. Howdy, Merc. I'm going to go ahead and type that too. So double tap that. Alrighty, well, somebody's here. It says Flora watching. That would be amazing. Right on, guys. Right on. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. I've been talking to myself for a while about Jim Shooter in this article. It was a good thing to stumble upon today. A lot of good info and such, and I hope people come back and actually check it out. So, now I'm going to pause this so we're not running my video while running my video. Alright, so, there's chat. There is my cue. So, we'll bring this up. We'll leave chat over there. Skip these by. So, opening scene, Jack Irons 1. You saw it. It's gorgeous. Matthias Laborde and Maxi Dallo. Perfect way to set up the comic. Issue number 2 has a very similar opening scene that equals, if not surpasses, the beauty of this scene. And if there's one thing I've seen with our work so far, particularly the artist wing of Ironverse Comics, is just they put out some beautiful work, and we've been working hard to build something together that will continue to show that. All right, let's skip this. Let's see. We got memes. Memes will happen. That's from the earlier in the campaign. From the first campaign, we did. There was I was blessed by a large upswelling of support and new friends when I started Jack's campaign, and that's was the Jack Iron meme. It was one night. I think we did a live stream that I was unable to make thanks to my internet. I actually I think I made it for a couple minutes, but I was at a buddy's place whose internet is just awful, and he was using it, so the bandwidth was crap. So I ended up having to just cut it off for the night. But they went on for hours shilling me. Oh my God, that's the beauty of the comic community. They really love the work, and if you can put yourself forward and put good work forward, they want to support it. just that. Don't worry about sticking your feet in. Just stick your feet in. Anywho, alrighty, let's skip another one. There we go. Opening panel of page 3, the page that got Matthias Laborde his job there. Merc's been here. Merc's been here a while. Well, that's nice of you. I appreciate it. I know I saw you on the other stream when I was trying to figure this all out. I'm just glad I did. I would have felt more like an ass if I had. So thank you, Merc, for showing up. Thank you. Be talking to myself for a while, and I still haven't even taken the first shot. It's just sitting there in front of me. So anyway, we'll open with Jack 3 there. Keep the chat open so I don't worry about missing anything. I got my notifications here if anybody sends anything on Twitter, for questions or comments or where the hell the stream is. You link to the wrong stream, any of that. Alrighty, so I think I'm gonna go ahead. I got 5 questions from Twitter earlier that I wanted to answer on stream. There were a couple fun ones that I just answered right away in case I actually got to them drunk and I went too far because they were more sensitive. But let's see here. Let's see. Let's. I've been on comics, so let's start with comics. Four of these are really kind of off topic to comics, so let's wait till I got a drink or two of me. Oh, thank you, Merc. Merc says, no problem, man. Looking forward to physical copies of Jack Irons through Wicked. Oh, man. So, funny story about that. The only person out of Team Ironverse Comics who didn't back the book um, and didn't get a comic is basically everybody. So Vince backed Jack, so he got his book. I didn't back Jack. I didn't have money, but I got the printer proofs. So I actually have a unique version of Jack Irons with white borders around the pages. Ooh. So if that's valuable one day, maybe I'll sell it. But poor Maxie, he's had to be waiting. Maxie and a lot of my friends and family have been waiting for their issues because we're not doing a second printing till everything's out to backers, and we're waiting for issue number 2 to finish to get to get their issue 1s out to them. So once that's done, Wicked and I are going to have a long talk about how to do the best approach for a public printing. It's really up to them on how much they want to support it. There's a couple ways we could do a public printing. One I can guarantee, and the only one that I can guarantee at the moment is with Jack Irons 3 campaign. I will definitely be offering copies of issue 1 and 2 as well. So that's something to look forward to. See, I was hoping to have shipped the issue this month, so that's been interesting. But again, quality takes time, and as long as I continue to be blown away by the work our artists are putting out, I can manage a few speed bumps. For this one, issue number 3, I'm gonna have to be more of a hard ass, if possible. Again, because you can't fire apart with threads. It's a balance, and it's a collaborative art. And especially when you have backers, that collaborative art extends quite wide. And I want to please everybody, but my team and the backers, different goals in terms of I know the backers want the highest quality possible with the best story and everything we do. They wanted to support the best work we can put out. My team, they want to do that too, but shit happens. So my hope is we can plan for that shit happening and be able to tell the backers quicker and be able to figure out what we're doing better. Yeah, I think I answered that question. I just got your follow up there, Merc. I think I did offer that. And issue 2's campaign's already happened. Issue 1 and 2 were the same campaign. Issue 3 will be 1, 2, and 3. So issue 1 already done. It can be reprinted whenever. So I'm stoked with that. Issue 2, I wish I could say 90. I'm gonna say 80% done. 80% done for the printer. So that's going to be a bit, but my goal again. It seems my team has the goal. Maxie's part's done, so he don't have to worry about it. He just gets to look at how beautiful his work ends up looking with Steve's colors. but Steve, Vince, and I'm really hoping we can have it at the printers by the end of the month at the latest. My hope is actually to have it finished next week and have the printer proof sent to me the following. But I'm tired of underestimating production times. So that's not a verbatim, that's a goal. That's not a set in stone, sadly. And I want to be a Jim Shooter. I want to get that shit set in stone. I want a machine. I want to be pumping out wonderful stories for years to come, like most of these new indie publishers that are coming forward, and creators, publishers, creators. I'm not quote unquote publishing, but I am. I published it on Tapas, and I just published Cactus Coyote on Tapas. So the line, the wording, it's semantics. You can give and take whatever you want, put the different levels to it. But end of the month. If we can do that, I will be so happy because, again, most exciting and terrifying time of my life. I want to get number 2 to people so I can go, it's done. If people hate it, people hate it. If people love it, I can work with that. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I love issue number 2. I am so happy people took the time to help us. Took the time and then gave money to help us get that started and get that done. It's again, it's been nearly 5 years since issue 1's lines and words were put out. So that really it shows you can do it if you keep at it, and I need to always remember that, and I hope that everybody who's in comics always remembers that. All right, well. I think that was me talking about a little bit of that. I guess I'm gonna go into Cactus Coyote a little bit. I need to. That released Wednesday night on Tapas for free. Let me see. I think that link's actually easy to grab. Let me go over here. Yeah, here they are. Yeah, you can see my statistics. Look at all that ad money. Let me go over here though. So, not over here. I want to look at it. So you can switch stuff, huh? Well, I can make this look awkward. Maybe that'll add some charm. All right, so here's the page. There's Cactus. There's your link. Let me grab that link. Go over here. Go ahead and drop it into chat. There you go. All right. So now it's in chat. So this right here, Cactus Coyote. So when I started Jack number 2 and number 1, technically it was to color number 1, but those are stretch goals. It was an odd campaign, very odd campaign. I don't think anybody ran something as loose as Ironverse Comics did in terms of how much adaptation during the campaign had to happen, how much rule breaking, not rule breaking, but we colored a lot outside the lines, I guess would be the word, to get this to where it is, and to be able to, and the fact that we were able to color outside the lines and still get this done so far, great. That's kind of how things need to be a lot of the time. So yeah. So Catch Coyote, when we were running issue number 1's campaign, like I said earlier, made a lot of new friends. One of those friends took a real good interest in what I was doing. Want to talk back and forth. I don't even remember how I met the motherfucker at this point. And yeah, I'm gonna have to just refer to him as Cactus Coyote. He's been a professional writer and a few other things for a while. So he's keeping a pseudonym attached to Ironverse for the moment, which I do not blame him. I think that'll change with something I'm going to announce here, I guess right now since we're on it. This manga adaptation is not only not the last you'll see of Cactus Coyote, but it's also just the toe dip. It's a lot like what I did with Jack number 1 on Tapas. We want you to be able to go and read this thing and see if you like it. The Tapas thing is low res. It's well, I mean, it's readable. I like this. I'm on a 1080p monitor. It's readable. It's got a little bit more fuzzy than I wanted. I had to shrink the images like crazy to get them on here. Their pixel width was stupid, which also I had to change the. Let's just go to it. I'll just show you. I'll just freaking show you. And right here. Yeah, that's a beautiful double-page spread he took the time to do. Yeah, so if I wanted to have that actually easily readable, I would have to have that, sideways, and it could only be this wide. So that text would have been unreadable. The difficulties of digital publishing. And I even noticed on mobile, which is where you'd really want to read this page, I thought if you turn it sideways, it's going to adjust. So it's very hard to read, and that bugs me. But it's free. It's free, folks. Anybody can come look at it. It's gorgeous, and it is readable. I'm sure there's a way to get around this. I'm not that savvy on those things. But anyway, with this, I don't know how I met the guy. And I don't know how it became, but eventually he really enjoyed what I was doing with Jack. And I wanted people to, since I started this idea, what would become Ironverse Comics back. It must have been 16, 17, maybe 15, but I think I think I'm gonna say 16 just to for eases. It it started off as me wanting to make my own comic universe. I actually started writing comics with a couple fan scripts. Maybe I'll release someday because they're so awful. For a Marvel crossover event, because that's how you get into comics as somebody who knows nothing and hasn't been into comics, and of course they're gonna look at that. But anyway, that's where I started. I eventually, I did my research and I figured out how you kind of get into that sphere. And I don't know. Jack was a gestalt of so many different ideas and things I love when I was a kiddo, when I was little, and during my teenage years, you're trying to find this new existence as an adult, and you're in this way station in between childhood and adulthood. And so as you're moving forward, you're looking back, and that's really Jack Irons. It's just filtered through the things I liked. That really is that's Jack Irons at a key. Is as you're moving forward, you're looking back. And well, I really hammered out those scripts, but the main concept, the idea, the original, what would become Ironverse Comics was a heavy metal themed Western universe, and we're working on that. But it started with Jack number one, and well, I've been attracting artists and fans with our ideas since number one's campaign. I went from maybe 10 Twitter followers to now a little over a year now since I ran the campaign. I'm at I'm over 3,000, so it's all doable. But anyway, back to Cactus Coyote. He had I don't know. At some point, we started shooting the shit back and forth about Ironverse, and he had heard my concept. With Jack, I wanted to make a character that anybody could tackle and tell any story with. Not just his cowboy mortal form. That's my story. That's my version of it. But yeah, people can do something later with that too. That's not what I mean. Jack's his persona, his character is one that the past lives thing opens up infinite story possibilities, and I'm gonna leave it there. My hope is that people take advantage of that and actually enjoy that idea. You'll see in my storytelling with issue 1 and issue 2, it's an anthology with a framing device. Is honestly what it is. There's all these micro stories again and again and again. Some are a page, some are 2 pages, some are 3, that are trying to explain his memories and actually like what's going on in his head. Just give you a glimpse, just a tiny peek, because it would be impossible to truly convey this character. But the idea would be later you can do any one shot with any story. Jack the Pirate, even though he's not Jack, and he can be a black woman. The point is it would be a Jack Irons, a Steel Cowboy memory. Help define him later. That's one of the things I want to do with Jack, and I think that's the spirit I tried to convey. And I think Cactus, the author, maybe he picked up on that and realized, well, he's doing something on Earth, and he needs somebody in space. I bet that even came up. I might have even asked, and well, here we are. I actually originally the original characters for the again what would become Ironverse Comics. I don't even know what I was calling it at that point. We had Jack, of course. I had the Golden Monk, who still I really hope to talk about here soon, and hopefully the artist I had attached takes interest again, or I nut up and I go ahead and ask him if he's still interested, because it's been months and I haven't heard anything, which is fine. Again, it's not something I'm actually able to put the paycheck forward to until I can do a campaign for it. So, you got to be loose. So, Jack, Gold Monk, the Silver Soldier, the Platinum Knight. So it was the Steel Cowboy, the Golden Monk, the Platinum Soldier, the Platinum Knight, the Silver Soldier, and then I could never decide on who I wanted the alien to be because I always wanted it metal themed too, and I just couldn't think of a metal I liked that you could also relate to a role. I could do like the copper Colonel or something like that. That could go with the Anu, but that's now with our lore. That wasn't the lore then. So it's. I had an alien character, basically, is what I wanted as that fifth. And guess who took up that alien slot and ended up still being metal themed, even though you say, well, Cactus Coyote, you're not spelling cactus, right? And you're talking about plant. Well, that's because we're not talking about a plant. Cactus ended up becoming the metal that Jack wears and is used as plating on starships. It's a very rare piece of mineral, and that's what Cactus named himself off of. So if you're thinking Steel Cowboy and Cactus Coyote, it doesn't make sense. It does in lore, and it's wacky. You have to be in the lore to understand it, and I love that. That's one thing that Cactus does. Cactus, the author, does really well. He really expanded my space lore, the little bit I had, and just exploded it. And now it's a living, breathing world out there in the stars, and I've still gotta deal with the stuff on Earth. And I want us to get to the stars because we have great plans once we get there. We really do. And so until then, Cactus is holding the ground in the stars, and so you should check it out. There is a Western adaptation in the works, and even though I adore the manga, it's been a ride. It's been ups and downs to get this thing out. My lettering is, shit lettering. It's a novice lettering, but it gets the job done. He did lettering too, which just as good, if not better. So it was kind of odd. I needed to, but I think it was good for me to get the practice. Yeah, see, like that. I don't know. It looks like a fan translation for a manga, so that kind of works. It makes it feel that much more authentic in the manga range. I mean, with his art, I love his art. Um, Anywho, I'm really stoked for this move forward. I hope people enjoy it. There's a lot of work that went into it, and it's been about a year we've been at it, so I'm stoked we got it out, and I hope people enjoy it. All right, I'm gonna check chat. Sorry guys, I haven't been checking chat. Thanks, Merc. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Merc. That's the idea. I am very. The reason I even chose Jack as the name. Jack is one of the oldest, widest used names for folk heroes. I didn't want to claim on that. I wanted him to be a part of that long bit. One of my favorite interpretations of Jack would be the Jack of Fables. I love that character. He's wacky as shit and fun, and there's a little bit of that Jack in Jack, just a little bit, thematically. But yeah, I'm hoping people enjoy that. Again, you got to get yourself noticed. You got to get it out there, and one day at a time. We'll see what we can do. One issue at a time, one book at a time. All right, so I guess I'll leave that on Cactus. Let's see. Let me go ahead and put that picture up here over to the left, so you're not just looking at an old screen there, and we'll move off of Jack. Oh, from our logo contest. I believe this was from Rise Again. He entered 6 of these. Rise Again would actually end up coming to work on I think most people know him better as Von Klaus now. Actually, he's coming out with Monster MD. But he's got line art pinup for Jack Irons in issue number 2. I'm really stoked for people to see those pinups. I've kept them a secret for quite some time. Little previews here and there, but they did such gorgeous work. The 6 teams. Yeah, that was the other thing with issue number 2. There were 6 teams, just art teams that I had to deal with without the Jack team. A lot of fun figuring it out and going through it. Again, speed bumps, but some of them were caused unduly because I was in a rush to get issue 2 out, and look where we are still. So it didn't matter if I was in a rush or not. But anywho, that's cool. Our logo contest was one of the more fun things because I had no idea how to look, and basically all of these are amazing. It was a real gift. I love our fans. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna skip off of this and we'll go to another one. It has nothing to do with it. It's just in the same folder. Kind of neat though. I think I took it because it's a weird western. I like me some weird westerns. All right. Well, that's a fun meme. Why are the memes in here? Is my question. Fourth one down. Yeah, sure. Let me see. Boop, 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 boop. I'm thinking you're thinking that one, and that's very cool. It's also got the military style lettering, the spray paint or oh god, what's the term? I can picture the things. It's gonna bug me. Term skips my mind. Alrighty, so let's move on. And yes, nothing stronger than love. The M32 rotary grenade launcher because fuck you and everyone near you. Yep, a great meme. I got a lot. I think I put my memes in here. That's probably a smart idea. My goal is to rotate the stuff so it's conversation fodder. And this whole video is about tooting my own horn, so I'll take it. I'll take it. Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna go back to Twitter real quick, and I'm gonna retweet some stuff. Hopefully, not dox my group chats again. That would be super great. Yeah, here we go. Let me just hit that real quick. Yeah, I'm shadow banned, so I don't know how that affects appearance of my tweets and stuff. I know you can't search for me, so that's a bother. If you search in Twitter, if you search in Google search, you're fine. You'll find me. But if you search in Twitter, I don't exist. So that's super fun. For outsiders who aren't already following, I find that just super that they're able to do that and then deny it. Happens, but when we have video evidence of it. But anywho, let's have me take my first shot, and then I'll get on to these silly questions, starting with the more serious one of my comic influences, which I'm always happy to talk about. I fucking love comics, especially the ones that got me into comics. So just a sec, you might hear a but yeah, just a sec. All right, back. All right, so influences. So before I even did that Marvel crossover event script, you guys should know this guy. Well, you might. If you follow me, you've heard his music. Laguna Munta. He's my oldest friend. I've known him since preschool. So like, we've been in the world's trenches together for a while. He and his dad were that family really has influenced me a lot. But they were very much into comics. So that's how I got my exposure to physical comics, because I've lived in a small town my whole life. We never had a comic shop. We never had a comic culture. We barely have had a gaming shop for the last 6 years. Anywho, they got me in, and particularly him showing me issues of The Punisher. Because as a kid, I'd watch action movies with my dad. And you know, that always put a pause. It's one of the few things my dad and I could really relate on, is just enjoying one of those films. And so being able to see a comic that was like that, but not just like that, had an aesthetic. It had the comic book aesthetic. It had the you take this concept and you explode it brightly in terms of, you know, the Punisher. It's a big white skull on a big black suit with a big tall Italian buff dude. It's intimidating. I hadn't seen comic characters like that, especially ones that were literally just going around and murdering people. Straight up, it was a glorified serial killer. I didn't know that was comics. I thought there was Archie, there was fucking Spider-Man, X-Men. X-Men, I should have gotten a clue with Wolverine. He's just going around stabbing people. But, you know, a kid, give me a break. And then there was, I just thought it was very campy and it was kiddie. But Punisher proved me otherwise. You know, he's going in his first Unlimited issue, he's going after a crack house. Right there, it's just like, oh, well, that's not the greatest for kids, but it's real, it's gritty, and they should know about it. So, and with that, I think I think it's Mike Barron, who I was blessed enough to meet on a live stream a while back. That was so cool. Anywho, so Punisher really got me looking at comics. Punisher and then Laguna Moon. Well, Laguna Muta and Punisher got me looking at comics. Same time, I was actually in a band playing bass with Laguna, and that would last a couple years. That was fun. But anywho, Punisher and his skull led me to Marvel. And Marvel, I was like, well, these are cool characters, but I don't really want to collect Spider-Man. I don't really want to collect that. So I kept looking, and then I was like, whoa, what's this? And that was a turning point for me. It's why I'm here. Right here is when I discovered the first issue, the cover, not even the whole book, the cover to Ghost Rider Road to Damnation #1 by Garth Ennis and Clayton Crane. That's when I got into comics. Right there, just when I saw it, not even picking up the issues, nothing. Just when I saw that cover to #1 with Ghost Rider and his real simple mace, but just Clayton Crane, I guess. Clayton Crane's visuals got me into comics. And then once I got the issues, because I had to get that book, I was like, what the hell is this? It's a flaming motorcycle. It's a flaming skeleton on a motorcycle. What the hell is this? It's so cool. Again, my dad was a biker. I grew up in biker culture, so bias. But anywho, I picked it up and I read Garth Ennis' writing. It was simple. It was dark. It was humorous. It had depth. It went into places I hadn't read before. Real dark, demonic places. But it came to them and smirked. I adore Garth Ennis. Ennis. I think it's Ennis. Yeah. If I'm ever lucky enough to meet the guy, I hope he corrects me. Anywho, he kept me in comics. I discovered his run on Ghost Rider. I bought it. I read it. And then I was like, wait, he wrote Punisher? And so I bought all the Punisher Max. All of it. I still even got up to the Jason Aaron stuff. I haven't collected some of the other spin-off stuff they did. I don't have Barracuda's, his own separate graphic novel he did, his run. I don't have a few of the random Jason Aaron stories. There's a lot of Punisher Max I didn't collect, but I collected all of Garth Ennis' stuff. And I've read that 16, 17 times. I adore his writing style. I adore how he can make the gruesome palatable. How he can make you hate somebody so much and so realistically because you know these kind of people exist and do not get punishment. These people live their lives and die old, fat, healthy, and rich. And you got to see Frank do to them what our darker side wishes we could do to these horrific people, which is kind of what they do to other people. So that's a whole nother moral question. But I like feeding that beast. I like being able to I like reading that. I haven't conveyed that in Jack. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But I have lived that in comics for a very long time. And really, if I'm blessed enough to continue working in comics and actually get a name for myself, the person I want to do a book with, a one-shot, hell, if I could just get a cover for Jack out of him, is Clayton Crane. He went real quiet recently, so I'm sure he's taking care of himself in a different way, so I don't expect it. But his CGI hybrid art paired to his artistic flavorings, how he likes to visualize things. For instance, Ghost Rider spinning out white hot flames around the tire, blue and white and clear while he's peeling out. Small subtleties, which I don't know if I can credit him 100% for. It could have been Garth. I haven't seen a Garth Ennis script, for instance, and I don't know how he scripts. But that attention to detail, to hyper emphasize a very small moment but a critical moment to the character, my God. but those but particularly it's Garth Ennis. If I had to say, if anybody was a single influence to why I'm in comics and why I write, it's him. And that's not surprising. He's extremely prolific. He works for everybody and anybody and puts out killer work for anybody and everybody. I really appreciate that. Some people might find him a little bit floppy or whatever. I don't care. Just put out good work where you can, brother. Anywho, that's a direct one. But there's a million others. Mike Barron, Chuck Dixon, their early run on the Punisher Unlimited series. I have that whole Unlimited series because I adore it. It's campy 80s action flick in a condensed comic form. I'm stoked with that, and of course with the character. I love Frank Castle. He's the most flawed and acceptable evil comic books have really ever put out. And I appreciate that very much. Because life's not black and white, it's gray. And yet Frank literally deals with it in black and white through the grays. Man, I can't tell you how much I love that character. Yeah, there we go. I'm looking back at my shelves here. Help inspire me. I guess I'll go into other characters. So I talked about Ghost Rider and Punisher. So my third most influential character in terms of how much I've read is Daredevil. All street level heroes. You'll notice that. I like it being personal. I like it being the human touch. But that's not all I like. But that's what hooked me. It made it relatable. It made you feel like you could be in that red suit. You could be in that white skull. You could be in that biker vest riding that flaming Harley. Ghost Rider's the most off there. With the whole hell angle. I also have been. I have most of the Danny Ketch run. I've read a lot of that. And I have most of the Johnny Early run. I read that. More of a fan of the Danny Ketch run. It's easier to read. It's more the comics of that time. The Johnny Blaze run, it's a whole different kind of story. It's more just a man wrestling with his demons, which is a good story. It's a damn good story. Hellblazers fucking ran off of that forever. But it's campier because it's that 70s vibe. And it's got its own charm. I would rather read the Danny Ketch run, but they both are extremely valuable and worth reading. Yeah. So Daredevil, my favorite run is Kevin Smith's. What's it called? God, I think it's called Son of the Devil, but I could be wrong. Guardian Devil. Kevin Smith's Guardian Devil under the Marvel Knights label. Kevin's a very emotional guy. He gets a lot of shit for it. I appreciate that. You should get a little bit of shit, so you check that. But I'm also a real emotional guy. I cry over a lot of bullshit. I get angry over a lot of bullshit. I'm an emotional guy. But Guardian Devil went into Matt's, again, emotional level. It tapped into his heart a lot more than a lot of the Daredevil I've read. Now, I love Daredevil, particularly as a series, because Matt, as a vessel, allows you to explore senses in a way you can't with other characters. So it allows you to go into detail on very small, subtle things. Again, like what I like with Clayton Crane, making those small things centerpiece and making them big, even though they're not. And even if you're looking at the panel, because you're only going to look at a panel 5 or 6 seconds unless it really blows you away. You're going to read it and then you're going to be done. So taking the time to do that for a panel, I appreciate. It's one of those things that makes the book you're able to go back to it and read it again and see more. So yeah, that's my thing with Daredevil. I love that. Talking about tasting Karen's fucking, or smelling Karen. Still, he's washed his sheets. She had dumped him for a very long time. He's washed his sheets again and again and again. He still smells her. When he wakes up in the morning, those small things, those emotional moments of being the superhero with an extra awareness of something, I appreciate that very much. And Daredevil is one of the key for doing that. Superman can be used to do it too, believe it or not, because he's so much that when you take the time to do the emotional level, it can really hit if you do it right. The best example though of taking a super strong character and putting an emotional heart into them is Shazam, or as I will hopefully always call him, Captain Marvel. being able to put a child's heart into a Superman's body, that was just amazing for oh god, Fawcett Comics, or it might just be Fawcett City. I don't remember the original comics who were trying to rip off Superman, but whoever did that knew how to do Superman right. and I'm glad DC went and picked him up, and I'm glad Shazam got his own movie, even if he's now Shazam, because that's legally distinct from the multitude of Captain Marvels that have existed. But yeah, I could go on and on about my influences. Let me check chat again. Merc. Yeah, Merc. Yeah. No, I'm always happy to see any Jack story in prose. I've seen a couple others. However you do it too. Just yeah, please contact me, and I'm very open with that stuff. And honestly, I do want Jack to hit that level someday. My goal is to finish. I want to get the 5 issues of Jack's first arc out. I don't even know if I'm going to get to 3, honestly. I've been seeing it really hard. I've been seeing the environment to crowdfund is it's more volatile than it was when I did it last year. You could do really well or be overlooked a lot easier, I think. And so Jack's support last year, it doesn't seem to have faded much. I still I'd be very curious to see if there's any indie character that came out in the last year that has as much fan art. I'd very much like to see that, even fucking Cyberfrog. I'm sorry to say, but that could be because Ethan just doesn't signal boost him, so I haven't seen him. It could be that simple, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I will say, Ironverse Comics, me in particular, I save and file every piece of fan art, and I intend to boost and show all of that love back, because you take the time to draw my character, to draw our character, and to expand and promote us simply by enjoying what we're doing and showing us. The least I can do is show it to the world through my platform. And I'm a little disappointed in some bigger names that have a lot more influence that don't tend to do that as much, and could really make a difference in a lot of people's lives. Each person who took that time to draw that character and connected with you, they're a person. They took that time. Their life is just as important, and they took a small segment of it to contribute to something you're doing. My God, respect that. But yeah, that was influences. Really, I could keep going forever. I'm actually having a lot easier time doing this than I thought I would. Merc seems to think Jack might have the most fan art. Wanpool is very, very much coming close, and Rags is also. I can't go without talking about those two folks. Actually, thank you, Merc. That's a good segue. I'll take another shot in a second after I'm done with talking about these folks. But in particular, those two and many others, many others, but those two have really. I don't know. I came in to the Twitter comic sphere in particular, so yeah, it's limited to that social media platform in a way. But that's where Jack got his footing. That's how Jack exists right now. And so, honestly, without those two, and particularly Rags, and I don't know how any of this happened. You know, they liked what I was doing. They liked how I went about it, and they supported me. And guess what? I was thankful, and I addressed them. I met them, and eventually I had 2 new friends. And very talented friends. My God, what the Rags team has been able to pull off with their books at this point. With AP and weathering that whole shitstorm, and many other shitstorms, honestly, because both those characters, both not Wampool characters, but Mr. Marvel and Brian, they're true to themselves, and so that means some abrasiveness. I'm true to myself, but I'm also very meek and mild, and that's part of me. So I'm not so much. It's harder for me to put my foot down unless I know I have to. But yeah, I appreciated that bravery, and I appreciated that. And as I continue to exist around their sphere, I don't know. It's a hell of a thing. Um, I mean, I have a Brian ended up so oh my god, there's just so much there, and I'm so blessed to have been involved. And it's only been a year. Anywho, I'm very happy to be part of comics, no matter how rough it gets. And I guess we're speaking about influences. You can count those two as hardcore influences, particularly on not how you market, but how to stay true to your intellectual property, how to market that truth, and how to continue to build an audience, and not just an audience, but a supportive financial audience. For God's sakes, on Wampool, I got to shout out Josh, the amazing animator, and Science Wizard Comics for the successful, very successful launch of Wampool. I mean, they're already $3,000 over Jack, and I can't. I hope that just keeps going till they print. I hope they get 15, 20 grand. They deserve so much. Josh put together an incredible campaign page and has been running an incredible campaign alongside Mr. Marvel. In fact, right now they might be talking to Wicked. Not they. I think it's just Mr. Marvel. Might be on an interview with Wicked Publishing right now. Let me check what time it is. Yeah. They've probably been on for a little bit. So if you guys are bored of listening to me, that's fine. Go check that out. You'll be supporting my publishers and a good friend. So it won't hurt my feelings none. This will still be here. But influence wise, that was they gave me heart to continue. And I'm hoping to continue to give others heart to continue, because I want to see the most art ever. I want to see the most comics ever. I want to see the most wonderful comics ever, because the more that's being put out, the more variety and the more hearts and minds that can be touched by art, the better. No matter how much you're disagreeing with how one type of art's being done or another or whatever. I'd rather it exist than not. So even if it's my opposition, I would rather have it exist than not. So yeah, influences. Let's count that off, and I will take shot number 2, and probably cough up because I'm feeling shot number 1 pretty good. Next topic. Well, the 4 that are left are all off of comics. So, Merc, if you're still here, if you got a question on comics before I move on, let me know. I'll answer that before the shot. Or if anybody else is here and wants to say hi. And Merc, if you wanna wrench, you're welcome to it. I don't, a mod status. I don't have any. And not that I expect you to mod though, so that would be the difference. But I don't know. There's lots to talk about. So let's see. Well, question 1 is what would my kaiju name be? I don't know how you form kaiju names. So I'm going to talk about Ironverse Comics and how we'll leverage kaiju. How about that? Kaiju names would probably be very simple. They would be simple mutation designations in Ironverse Comics. We have one character in particular who's going to deal very heavily with kaiju. Giant mutant monsters. If you guys aren't clued into what a kaiju is a giant mutant monster popularized through Godzilla, but there's been so many more. Tracker, top predator. What do you think kaiju are? They're prey. And that's some of the fun. The very first short, which is written by me and will be illustrated by Vince Rush Art, we have a good idea on who's going to color it. I'll have to see if I have the funds to do it. My goal would be to include this 8-page short in the back of Jack Irons number 3, because Jack Irons number 3 has to do heavily with Tracker as a character and Jack's relationship. So that would be my hope, to include this nice 8-page short. It's short, it's quick, it's action-packed, and I freaking adore it. And of course, Vince Rush. Vince Rush is gonna knock it out of the park. Let me see. There we go. Blam! There you go, Merc. I got my first wrench. I don't know how often I'll do this, but I'm enjoying this one, and I'm just talking to myself, so I'll probably do it a couple times. And I appreciate having a mod just in case we got to drop links or somebody comes in to hassle me. Give them the jackboot. Approved and trademarked. Let's see. So yeah, kaiju. Tracker would designate them by what part he needs from them, and their location and what what was their base. So in Ironverse, it would be particularly on Earth. We'll just stick to Earth because that so far is the most popular. Cactus is expanding that, and so a lot of what's happening on Earth does apply to what's happening in space, but not necessarily. So, particularly in animal types, you're not going to have the same animals on Earth as you did in space. So that's that right there. Most of our kaiju are very much like Godzilla. It's some kind of mutant that's formed from a bunch of other things. The difference is we also would include genetic engineering. Issue number 2 introduces our 4 main villains. Issue number 2 of Jack introduces our 4 main villains. Probably going to be popularized as the 4 Horsemen, but they're the 4 horrors. They're known throughout the galaxy with different names. So the main point is they're the 4. You have Plague. I've been calling him Famine, but you can call it Famine, however you want to pronounce it. Once again, 1,000 languages, 1,000 different interpretations, same thing. War, which I spell with 2 R's again. I pronounce it however you want. War, I don't care. And and death. And so their main spiel is if a civilization in particular, because it has to be a large amount of sentient beings, if they're experiencing a certain amount of any of these, I call them thought forms. If a planet is starving to death constantly because of a massive communist regime or whatever on the planet, they will likely manifest famine. Earth, in Jack's alternate history timeline, manifested famine around the Industrial Revolution, and when he manifested, he kicked up and spurred technological growth to the point of like steampunk kind of technological growth, and so the world existed under that for a while, and then world wars were a lot angrier, which led to war being manifested, and with all that war, there was a lot harder to. A lot of people were looking for chemical warfare, and so once chemical warfare hit on a massive scale, Plague hit, and when Plague hit, he started doing what Plague does. He wants to find the perfect life and have it be the only thing that exists. So, what he does is tinker with biology. And so our kaiju, on Earth in particular, are mostly famine experiments that he got bored with and just let loose. Or things that he designed particularly to hassle his brothers on Earth. Or to accomplish a certain task. Or to, it's genetic engineering. He's making biological machines for his purposes, and some of them are very short, and then he just lets them do whatever. Some are very, very long, and they'll exist like that forever. Again, the Ironverse has endless tales, we can tell, with how we're setting it up, but sadly, the number one thing you need is money, unless I'm just writing it for myself, and it'll never see the light, in which case I can do that forever, and at least it'll exist there. But anywho, so kaiju name. It would depend on what. I don't think Plague would do much besides numerical designations. So it would depend on who's finding them. I'd assume if there's big ones, there would be tribal names, depending on how much influence that kaiju has on any I don't want to use civilization because it's not that big. Again, tribes is closer, but any groups, any human or alien groups that are living near it, they'll probably give it a name. But my kaiju name, yeah, I don't have a kaiju name. I'm a dude. Hope that answers your question, Salem. I know it doesn't. Cool. Well, thank you, Merc. I appreciate that. Very much so. Let's see. Well, the next question on the list is real personal. How do I want to address that? I guess it's drink time. That's how I want to address that, and then maybe I'll get into it. Okay. Well, be back in a moment, folks. All right. I'm back. All right. Question number 2. I think these were in the order they were asked. A few of them, this one in particular, this is the rough one. This is the one I probably should save to the end, so you guys get the best story, because I'll be the loosest. But I'm gonna go ahead and listen to my head here before it's gone, and I'm gonna do it now. So it was one person I missed an opportunity with. It's not exactly the phrasing. The phrasing was, I loved for a long time, and something about regretting not getting with, or just in particular did not get with. I'm not a ladies' man. That's not something I've ever been great with. I'm very quiet. I'm very shy. Even doing this again, that's why I'm drinking. But I wanted to, that question. It's not going to exactly answer it, but it conveys a message I want to put forward that does relate to the question. So we're going to go ahead and go with it. So in high school, I think it was junior year, so this would be 09, something like that. I've been having a rough time. My high school years for my family were real rough, and my high school years for my schooling were real rough. I was a kid who did all the work, nailed the tests. Well, okay, I was a kid who nailed the tests, but didn't do the homework. That was an issue. So that was, again, the homework was family life. There's a lot of issues. So that was where my mindset was. I've never been very, very secure. But anyway, we had a small group of friends. Again, Laguna. He was there. There was a young woman. She came in on freshman class, so I was, in dirty dog. I was still under 18, so, it was so pissy. But freshman year, so 15, 16, the younger woman. I had crushed on her forever, and real awkward. There was a few circumstances I could have taken advantage of that my initial reaction was incorrect, that I would later think about again and again. But I guess that's enough setup. So it's senior year. No, it wasn't senior year, was it? It was also junior. Man, everything spreads out, so time moves so quick, and then it funnels together. So no, it was still that year. It's only a year, so it wasn't even that long. But my point is, my point will be, hopefully it'll be clear in a minute. So there was some kind of assembly, whatever, some kind of assembly. Our school set up different classes, so this was an assembly for this class. It wasn't for everybody. But I had been thinking about her a lot that day, and particularly during that assembly. And so I said to myself, to try and get myself psyched up and to actually ask her out over spring break, I think that's what it was. I said, well, if she's out there, when I go out, you're going to do it, or else you're going to beat yourself up forever. So that was fun. So I ended up having to leave the classroom to take something to somebody before anybody else did. I go out, and there she is, by herself in this courtyard, trying to get back into class because they had locked her ass out. And needless to say, I did not take advantage of what reality had plainly laid out before me, because I am a pussy very often. And that was one of those cases. Point being, if you directly ask reality to provide a circumstance for you, and it provides it, take it, please. It's how I got to here with Jack. But yeah, that's one I kind of miss, but I don't know. I wouldn't change anything with my life. I ended up with a young woman. God, it took a long time. I'm not a player, but we were together for 4 years, and I had that was my first girlfriend. That was my first experience in that. It was very good. And its end, which wasn't so great, led to the motivation for Jack. So I wouldn't change anything with it. But yeah, pay attention to reality. Pay attention to reality. And thank you, Merc. Exactly. Please check out my Twitter. That's the best place to get all my news. I often forget to update Facebook. I often forget to update my Patreon even, and that's where money's coming in. So you can see Twitter is probably the best idea. It's probably because I have the best handle and most confidence on Twitter. But yeah, that's one person I missed an opportunity with, sort of. Again, I'm a believer kind of in fate, but not quite fate. I just know that my experience up to this point is the experience I've needed. So I wouldn't go back and change it. All right. Question number 3, which means another shot, but I think with where I'm at, I'm going to wait till question number 4 for that shot. I want to finish this up and still be able to think afterwards. So the next one was the worst restaurant experience. This one's real short. I only have one negative restaurant experience in my life. I don't go out to eat much. I cook. I enjoy cooking. So it doesn't happen much. Not a well-off family. It never happened. so we cook. But there was an IHOP I visited once in Santa Fe. I puked after eating there. They had done something to the food or whatever, and it took them 40 minutes to get us our food too. It took 40 to 45 minutes to get us food. It wasn't a busy day or anything, so I don't know what was up that day. It might not have been the consistency of that IHOP, but since then I've never gone to an IHOP. It was so goddamn awful. I ate it, and I didn't really enjoy it, but we had spent the money, so I'm gonna damn well eat that food. And then yeah, it was an awful day afterwards. So so that was my worst restaurant experience. Nothing special, nothing in particular, but gnarly IHOP experience. All right. Well, at least you tried to, Merc. I appreciate that. I couldn't get the balls. I'm gonna tell you one other story too, which I don't know how it would have went. It's a very curious story. So we were our school had a fad. Same year, of course. The fad was many years old because it was fun and it took us out of the normal gym stuff. So we had a Foursquare court. So we were playing Foursquare again like we were kids. So that was fun. But in line. Okay, she was eating, same girl, she was right behind me, and she was eating goldfish. And I bitched, what, you don't have any for me? She stuck her tongue out and offered me that one. No fucking clue what I should have done there. But I said no, because I don't know if I'm autistic. I got a little bit of that weird slant to my eating habits and to how I think and things like that. I've never gone through the doctor bit because, screw doctors in most cases, but yeah, that was a hell of a thing. That's another one where I don't know what could have happened if I had acted differently and with a bit more confidence. If I had fucking, but yeah, there's weird little things like that. Life will try and teach you a lesson, and sometimes you might not even know the lesson, and the point was just to be aware of it. So I don't know. But that's cold feet is very common. Recently, hell, screw it. We're off comics anyway. Recently, I with a lady I worked with, I got clues from the boss. I was thinking I had to take a ride home from two of the owners one day, and they had brought her up, and that she likes comics and stuff. So. Anyway, I had liked this girl already, so I was like, well, shit, reality is again telling me to try. So eventually I tried. It worked out, we're fine. But she wasn't single, and and I was misled. So that was awkward, but I was so glad. I got a lunch date out of it, for God's sakes. I was able to get a lunch date. We both, it was the only time at my work I actually had a real big problem. So I work with dogs, and I run dog play groups at a pet resort. So anyway, there were two play groups going. She was running one, and I was running another. Probably should have been running hers and vice versa. But it's neither here nor there. She's worked there longer, so maybe she did have more experience. But anyway, there's this Labradoodle there called Kubota. And he is a hyper bastard, really hyper. He's of course he's a lab and a and a poodle, so it's not the easiest fusion of genetics. Poodles are really intelligent, but often quiet. Labs are very dumb and not so quiet. They're very active, and so he got all the active and the stupidity in a hyper mind of a poodle. So he was a handful every time, always causing not trouble, but making the work more difficult than it needs to be. That day, she decided it was time to try him again in a larger group, and I thought it was going to be fine. She thought it was going to be fine, and it was fine for about 2 minutes. And then he decided to mess with the wrong dog. And my buddy, I love this dog. He actually just moved, so I don't get to see him anymore. Kind of sad. His name is Chuck Norris. He is a lab pit mix. They got into it with her there. And of course, if you're running a dog play group, your goal is to protect the dogs and separate them if something like that happens. So I ended up running in there, blah, blah, blah. But during the encounter, during all the problems, we both got our hands torn up. We got good bites. From the Labradoodle. If it was from the pit, the pit lab is from Chuck. I might have been talking to you now with a missing finger. Chuck was very as we were separating. Dogs have problems disengaging, so Chuck was still nipping at Kubota real good, and he had no idea what was going on. He thought he was playing, and it turned to something completely different. So he was just freaking out. And of course, she's trying to wrestle him. I'm trying to wrestle Chuck and everybody. It was not working well. And of course, there's like 7 or 8, 9, 10 other dogs all barking at the same fight that's going on because they want part of it. Hell of a thing. But anyway, we both got our hands ripped open, so I also thought. But anyway, we after it solved, the dogs are fine. Neither of the dogs got any damage or anything. They were fine. We did our job as we were supposed to, but we did get our hands torn open for it. Anyway, we got our wounds clean. We got all of that after the commotion, and I had not slept for shit, so that helped. I got my nuts up, and they were asking, well, do you guys want to go or whatever? Your hand's all messed up. You really should rest. And we were thinking, I was like, well, do you want to go to lunch? And I actually got the balls to ask her. That was a trip. That was a moment for me, honestly. So even sometimes listening to reality, it's not going to get you the results you want, but it might get you the experience you need. Is the point. And I needed that lunch date. It was fun. She accepted. So that also kind of thought, I was like, oh, she's got to be single. Wrong. But nonetheless, it was a wonderful lunch date. It was a good break. And, it's worth rolling the dice. Just make sure it feels right, I guess. Let's see. Oh, you got a second opportunity, Merc, huh? But you didn't. Yeah, I know. It's rough out there, man. You don't know what anybody's thinking. You don't know their actual situation. And for me, I don't like intruding in other people's lives, let alone for something so personal. It's like, I have affection for you. How am I going to present that? How I ended up doing it. Oh boy, how I ended up doing it after that hand bite. So I still didn't know she wasn't single. I still didn't know she had somebody. She didn't tell me. Nobody told me. So I had emailed her later. Didn't get a response, but I thought, well, that's fine. She didn't directly give me her email or number, so it was kind of silly to have sent it in the first place, but I wanted to follow up. She paid for lunch because she wanted to, so I wanted to return the favor, and it's a good date framework, So try. So I didn't get anything, so eventually I was like, well, maybe she's not getting the emails. Maybe she doesn't check them. Well, not the emails. It was the email. I didn't send multiple. I'm not stupid. You don't harass somebody. So I eventually just wrote basically what was in the email on a letter, a little bit nicer, and I dropped that for her. And eventually, I came into work one day and we just had a nice talk, and she was flattered, and she actually needed the ego boost and the the valuation of her as a being that I put into the letter at that time. So there was value still given to her from it. So I felt good. And I had agonized weekly that maybe she was really spooked by what I did, which was just sending one email and then the letter. So I don't know. I overthink things, but apparently it was okay, and we're still okay. So time moves on, and life will continue to present different angles that you haven't seen before, and hopefully you'll be able to act on them as life continues. Whew, it's a rough one. But all right, so we did. We kind of went back to question 2, which was the one person, and then number 3 wasn't that interesting. Number 4 was drink with a historical figure. There's a billion of those I'd like to drink with. So that's the question: is the time in my life, because the thing that would frame why you would want to interact with a historical figure, let alone drink with them, is to learn from them, to get some kind of knowledge from them, to learn something. So there's so many people that I can only scratch the surface because of what they left, because they're gone, and so there's no more of them. There's only what's there. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of philosophers I'd like to talk to, just to learn more. I don't know much. I try to. I read a lot. I read a lot. But life's a hard thing to get a handle on. So I appreciate more subtle and experienced interpretations of this beast we're all dealing with. So that's one. Almost name a philosopher, and I wouldn't mind talking to them, even if I'm not 100%, drinking with them, even if I'm not 100% down with their philosophies, like Nietzsche or Aristotle. They were very Aristotle was very fascist, and Nietzsche was very depressing. But I still wouldn't mind drinking with them. Scientists, for instance, I'm not much of a numerical style of my physics knowledge. I'm not great. I'm not terrible with math. I'm real good with arithmetic and basic math. But once you get into the extrapolation kind of stuff, the theoretical, this letter represents something that doesn't have a definitive number. Yeah, I'm not great with that. I don't think I'm terrible, but I'm not great. I wouldn't have been able to become a physicist even if I did get A's in physics. But anywho, point is, it would be most anybody. One of the few, like, religious figures would be another great one. You could almost pick one, and I wouldn't mind. The point of drinking with a historical figure for me, again, would be to learn. And I'm not in a place where I can say that I have nothing to learn from anybody. I have nothing to learn from this guy. I have nothing to. No. So basically, any historical figure I'd be happy with. I'm almost more interested in who I could drink with now, because that's realistic. I could do it, and mainly that would be comics pros and others with experience in the arts. A few business people too I'd really like to, because I need to learn much more about the business end of this, and how to make something sustainable, because relying on a campaign every so often, that's not sustainable. That's asking for a bunch of micro investors each time. No, I want a machine. I want something that's running and pumping, not something that runs, pumps, gets to where it's going, stops, and then you have to have this huge process to get it going again. I don't want that. For somebody who's done that very well is Rags. With their Patreon subscriber ability, they're going to be able to finish to number 7. There's a lot more they're going to be able to do, but because of that. But the point is, they're able to make their comics, and I want to get to that point. I want to be able to look at my what's coming in and say, yep, I can make this comic. It's going to be hard to get there. It's going to be a hard road, but if you guys stick with us, I promise I'll do my best to deliver the best weird Western comics on the market. I really will. I don't have many other goals. So you've been looking at Jack killing Polonicus here for a while. Right now he's just smug because he beat Polonicus. He don't know his skull's cracked open. Let's see what's next. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's good inspiration here. So, the Team Ironverse Comics logo guy. At Zero, oh, not at Zero Fox. He goes by Zero Fox. I believe it's at something 1971. This man really came through. I met him more personally through our logo contest when he delivered. I don't think I can get to it. He delivered a variation of the logo that ended up on our books. It isn't the logo that ended up on our books. But it was a variation. And the point was that variation was enough for me to recognize what he was doing and what he could do. And so he won the contest off of that. And I've been working with him ever since. He did the Cactus Coyote logo. He's done logos for Wicked. Extreme talent. Blessed to have him on Team Ironverse Comics. And he did a lot of our merch images as well. For instance, this one where it's a dead man's hand with a jack kicker. Of course, it's a jack kicker. And it's all black cars. Team Ironverse Comics is a blessing, and I am still trying to earn that because there's so much talent in the world, and I lucked out with some of the best out there on our books, and I can't wait to keep delivering it to you folks, and hopefully you'll recognize it and continue to support us. And with the drink with a historical figure question kind of answered, I was an idiot, really. Well, no, I wasn't an idiot. I was shady. I was shifty. I weaseled out of answering a specific historical figure. But as long as time was spent and words got put down, I think the question was answered enough. So if there's any others in chat, I know Merc's been keeping me company. I really appreciate that, Merc. I didn't expect too many folks, but one really did help, and I really do appreciate that. Unless there's other questions, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. It's about to turn 9 o'clock my time, as you can see, so it's probably a good time to do it. I appreciate everybody who showed up. I didn't drink as much as I expected to drink, but it happens. And yeah, thank you so much for showing up for the first publicizing talking to myself while drinking. There's got to be a couple more. Maybe I'll do this every Friday if people are interested enough. I have a lot to talk about, obviously. I didn't think I'd be able to keep this up as long as I did, but here we are. And I hope my audio quality hasn't been too bad. I hope my rambling hasn't been too stupid. And I hope you guys got some kind of substance out of this talk. And I guess I'll see you soon on that Ironverse Trail with issue number 2. And please, guys, let me know. Please, let me know. And let Cactus Coyote know what you think about Cactus Coyote. Because that's our second title. That's right, we have 2 under Ironverse now. 2. I can't believe it. Getting Jack number 1 was a dream. Getting the funds for Jack number 2 blew me away. I still don't believe it. Jack number 2 being produced and putting out gorgeous art. Still don't believe it. And I hope to perpetuate that state that I'm in for as long as I'm here on this spinning blue ball. Because I think that's what I want to do. I think that's my purpose. I think I want to put out good weird Western tales, and I hope you folks enjoy them. And I hope that everybody on Team Ironverse Comics continues to enjoy working on them, and not only that, but is able to. Thank you, folks, for joining me. Thank you for enjoying Ironverse Comics, or at least taking an interest because you're here. And I'll see you on that trail down the line. Catch me on Cowboy_Steel on Twitter. I recommend Google searching, not in Twitter searching, thanks to shadow banning. You can find our Patreon by searching Patreon Ironverse Comics or Patreon Jack Irons the Steel Cowboy. Search either of those, you'll find us. On Tapas, search Ironverse Comics, and you'll find both the free issue of Cactus Coyote and the free issue of Jack Iron Steel Cowboy #1 in black and white. Both of them in black and white. One's manga format. Please read right to left. The other is Western format. Read as usual. And if you guys like what we're doing, tell us. It really that simple act really makes all the difference in creating and feeling like you're putting out something that is worth your time. Otherwise, I can just go back to working with dogs, and my ballooning career is going to start here again in June. So, I have other things to do, but this is my dream, and this is what I want to do. And if you folks like what we're doing, please show it. It's how you make these things happen. It's how you manifest these new comics. It's how all these indie creators are able to do what they like as a hobby, let alone the few privileged who are able to do it and improve their lives through the finances they receive from it. I like to get Ironverse there. My art team's getting paid. And they're getting paid industry standard wages and a little bit above in a couple cases. But me, yeah, we'll see after issue number 2's shipped if I made anything. So it's been about a year of hobby labor every day. So I plan to keep doing it no matter what. But that support not only makes it easier, but it makes it better. It allows me to improve and continue. Thank you, folks, again. I should have signed out a couple minutes ago. A lot to say. Always a lot to say. Love you, folks. Take care. See you out on that damn trail. And come and find me later on.